Evening all, Kieran here, back with another podcast for this weekend, or another weekend preview. This time previewing the races at Newbury for Betfair all day, and also 3 races from Warwick for Kingmaker Day. So obviously it's not called the Betfair Hurdle now. I think it's actually sponsored by William Hill. It's actually the William Hill Hurdle now. But to me, it'll always be the Betfair Hurdle. Obviously, you've got the Denman Hurdle and the Game Spirit as well that's also thrown in there. But firstly, we'll start with the 150 at Newbury, which is the handicap hurdle over 3 miles. Now, Up for Parole is favourite currently at 4-1 after winning Islip Foss last time. And then you have Haiti Colours, who I actually like for the National Hunt Chase moving forward. Come the Cheltenham Festival is 5-1. Obviously in here just to have a spin round over hurdles before going for the National Hunt Chase in 5 weeks' time. Also, I actually like in here for this race, currently priced up at 7-1. Best price is Tiny Tetley of Philip Hobbs and Michael White. The combination running a similar race to what he was running last time at Haydock, where he's 4th at Haydock, when making a terrible mistake 3 out and then basically just plodding on for 4th in the end. I think the Hobbs and White Yard are certainly going well. They've having plenty of winners over the season and have certainly turned out a lot more winners than they had last season. I think this boy could be potentially progressive and could potentially run a big race on to start the racing on Saturday. If he runs to the similar sort of level as he did at Haydock and obviously doesn't make the mistake, I can see him there at the finish and potentially in for a chance of winning for sure. So that's Tiny Tetley. Then we move on to the 225, the Denman Chase, and obviously named after one of my favourite staying chasers of all time. Obviously Galloping's going to go down as one of them now as well. The things that he's done after a few seasons, but Denman, the Corto Denman, them two against each other, if you like, was what I was brought into racing with. Well, when I started going to racing, that's when I was in my early 20s. So Denman Chase, every time his name comes up, always brings back memories of his great win in the Gold Cup and the great commentary that came with it. But going back to this chase, it's named after him. Brave Man's Game, who also is trained by Paul Nicholls, the same as what Denman was, is favourite 2-1 after finishing 8th in the King George. I think this is a bit of a recovery mission for him, to be honest. Didn't expect him to be coming to a race like this. Now, obviously, they've said that the Grand National is now the target for him. But I think there's a chance he could potentially, like I said, it could be a prep for the Grand National. He might not be fully wound up. And I'd be willing to take him on at 2-1. I know he's won around the track and trip before as a novice, but I'd be willing to take him on here at 2-1. And there's a few others in the race that haven't even won over this distance. Like you got Jello in there, who's obviously on a recovery mission after his run last time at Windsor, and a few others that are in there which potentially could be having prep runs for other things. The one I did come down on and is a massive price is at 16-1. It's Eldorado Allen. Now I know he's not getting any younger. He's 11 now, but he loves it round Newbury. He's won this race 3 years ago, I believe, 2 or 3 years ago, and was 5th in it before as well. He's got very viral attributes. Not exactly like he's running badly in other races. He's run 3 times this year in veterans races, and he's suitable in all 3 races. And I think he comes here, he likes Newbury. Like I said, he's won this race before, and he likes Newbury. I think he comes here with a hell of a chance. I think he can outrun his odds at 16-1 for sure. He's currently rated 147. He won this race 2 years ago for 155, so he's obviously £8 lower than winning the race. I know it was a couple of years ago, but he could potentially, if he renews, gets back to the level he was. I know he probably won't, but if he runs to his mark of 147, I think he could potentially be there at the finish and in with a shout here. And at 16-1, it could be a decent play for sure. So that is Eldorado Allen. at 16 to 1 for the Denman Chase. Moving on to the 3 o'clock, the Game Spirit, and this is all about Sergino, isn't it? For the 7 favourite, going into open company on only his second start over fences. Should take all the beating. He's not going to have his own way, obviously. He's got the likes of Matata and Edward Stone and all your British champion chase hopes over running in the race, all except John Bond, obviously his stablemate. But if he's going to prove to be the monster that he looked like he was going to be, that he is going to be on his first start at Kempton, then he's going to go and have to put in some performance here to beat these. I think he will. I think he will win the race, don't get me wrong. 4 to 7, would I get involved at 4 to 7? No. The likelihood is Matata, who won very nicely in that Windsor in his own right last time out, will probably take the race along and probably set it up for Sergino. And hopefully he comes out the other side, Sergino, winning this well, and then takes another step forward to that big clash we're going to have hopefully in the Arkle. And at Cheltenham, obviously, Madborough came out and won over the weekend just gone at the DRF, and obviously Le Desert, who people have kind of forgotten about, who's of the Skeltons, obviously runs this weekend as well in the Kingmaker. I will come to him shortly, but he, I believe, will win as well. So the Arkle picture very much could change over this weekend, but I just can't see Sergino not winning the Game Spirit, to be honest, and I think he'll take the world of beating in this race. I'm not sure though. Everybody says he's a certainty for the Arkle. I'm not so sure. I think Madborough should be close from the bet, and I think Madborough will certainly put it up to him. Whether he can beat him or not is another factor, but I certainly think Madborough will be able to put him up to him in the Arkle, and I would discount Le Desert as well. I think he's been forgotten about because of these two monsters that have come along from the juvenile scene. But he's a decent horse in his own right, Le Desert, and I'll come to him in a second when I go to Warwick's preview. So that's Sergino taking everything in his grasp in the Game Spirit. Moving on to the Betfair hurdle, now known as the William Hill hurdle, and you've got Secret Squirrel, who's in there at favourite, currently at 11 to 2 after winning at Windsor last time. Now this is a plenty deep enough handicap that I'm willing to get involved. 2 horses at bigger prices, and because you're going to get 5-6 places on the day. I think there's already 18 runners, I believe, already up for this. Chances are you're going to get decent place turns of the book. Is the first one actually is the horse that won this race 2 years ago, and that's Orcam Risk of Chris Gordon's. Now everybody's saying why this horse is Santa. He's not actually run too badly this season, to be honest. He won 2 starts ago. He's running a decent races at Ascot last time out, and he's run very creditably in every single race he's run this season. So he's not on the downgrade for sure. I know he's now 9, and he's not on the downgrade for sure. And he comes in here at 28 to 1. He's a previous course and distance winner because he won this race 2 years ago. And he run this race off 138. He now comes in off 133. So he's £5 lower than winning it 2 years ago. He won it fairly comfortably. I know the yard's not in the best of form, but if he rejuvenates back and he's sort of decent form, like he's not in bad nick, like I said, but if he runs, he's way overpriced here and should outrun his odds. I really do think he's going to outrun his odds here at 28 to 1. I think that's a massive price for a horse that's been there, done that, won this race 2 years ago. He should be in with a hell of a chance at 28 to 1. He's not badly handicapped, to be honest. And he's just stupidly overpriced in my eyes. And then the other one is even bigger, and that's Go Dante of Ollie Murphy's. Now his horses are going fairly decent. They had a couple of winners today over at Huntington, so you can't say the yard's not in form. And he's also got James Bowen booked, and it's off bottom weight, this horse. He's got no weight to carry whatsoever. He's off 130, actually 129, sorry, in this race. He's third in the race last year off 130. He ran a hell of a race in the race last year, and like he's 33 to 1. It's stupidly big price. Now I know there's plenty of horses in here, like they're both 9-year-olds I'm backing. Don't get me wrong, they may have had their time, but they're stupidly overpriced, and I think they're both well handicapped to certainly run big races and 28 to 1 and 33 to 1, you're going to get 5-6 places on the day. I'm willing to take a swing at these two. See what prices we get on the day, but they certainly, if they're still around these prices, they're going to be a hell of a bet for me, because I think they're both going to be there at the finish. They both got course form, a decent form in this race. I can't see them not being in the frame, to be honest. So that's Orcam Risk and Go Dante, 28s and 33s currently. If we can get those sorts of prices on the day, 6 places, then we will be laughing. And then moving on to Warwick. Firstly, the 205, the Kingmaker Novice Hurdle. Now, I mentioned Le Desert earlier. He's going to take all the beating in this. I think he's a 2 to 7 shot. Like he's not a betting proposition for the weekend. There's a lot of people that will do the double, Le Desert and Sergino. I think there'll be a lot of people on that. Nice and easy money. I think he'll take a lot of being here. Skeletons at the home track. And yeah, I don't think many horses are going to get near Le Desert, and it'll be another stepping stone for him towards the Arkle. Rubo's in here, who's a fair horse in himself, but obviously his chase debut was in behind Sergino and Ballyburn and ran off his feet. Actually fell eventually in the race. And unfortunately, he's going to bump into another one here in Le Desert, I think. There's not a lot else you can say about the race. Le Desert should win, and it's a stepping stone for him towards his aim at the Arkle and putting his hat potentially back in the ring when people all have been talking about Sergino and Madra. So that's the Kingmaker Hurdle, Novice Chase, sorry. Moving on to the Mares Hurdle, where Gala Massot is in here at 6th of all favourite for Willie Mullins, and Danny Mullins is coming over the ride. First time out this season. She's got okay form. Obviously, she did alright in the Triumph 2 years ago. She had alright form last season as well. But I'd be willing to take her on first time up. I know Mullins' horses are in decent form. I'd be willing to take her on first time up for sure. Second in the betting is West Balboa of the Skeletons, again, like I said, at their local track. But I think this is a bit of an afterthought. Like, this horse was meant to run at Kempton over Christmas, but Kempton was called off. So now they've got to come here. But I'm sure the plan is to get well handicapped for Aintree in April, where she always runs her best race at Aintree. Now, if she's going to run her best race at Aintree and she goes and wins this, she's going to blow her handicap mark, isn't she? So I can't see her being, like, she's 2 to 1 second favourite. I can't see her being fully tuned up for this. I know Harry's down to ride and everything else like that, but I wouldn't be wanting to take a risk on her at 2 to 1. Potentially because she could be out for the run, not to blow her handicap mark. The one I am going to side with, and again it's another huge price, it's 25 to 1, is Royal Marges, I think that's how you pronounce it, of Tom Simmons's. Now, this horse actually finished in front of West Balboa at Kempton last time, and she was in receipt of a bit of weight off West Balboa, which she doesn't get in this race because it's a listed race. But she's 25 to 1. She's run decent races all season. I know this is going to be a step up in class for sure. But with the form line just through West Balboa, 25 to 1, could be massive. Like I said, Gala Massot, first time out this season. Is she going to be fully wound up as well? First time up, potentially Mullins looking for a pot, so she could be. But I'm willing to take the risk on Royal Margot at 25 to 1 and see where it lands. I think she's going to run a big race. She's been decent all season, and she might have a decent pot in her, and this could be it. So that's her. Obviously, I will not put selections up until tomorrow night, and obviously the prices I'll take will be Saturday morning. But if she's around 20-25 to 1, she will certainly be a play. Well, in fact, she's going to be a play in the race no matter what, but 20-25 to 1 is certainly a decent price at the moment. And then the final race I'm going to touch on is the Veterans Chase, the second last race on ITV, the last race at Warwick on ITV. And you have Fugitive in here, 11 to 4 favourite currently after his third at Cheltenham in December. Takes his first dip into Veterans Company racing now that he's turned 10 at the turn of the year. So he could potentially go close first time up in Veterans races, as could Lamilos, who again is another one of the Skeletons, which I didn't expect to see run at this meeting. I thought he could have been saved for a Cheltenham handicap down the line. I thought he was going to be an ultimate horse potentially. But again, if they're coming here, is this a prep run? Is this because the Ultima is the aim? Or because if he does run well here in this veterans race, he could potentially screw his handicap mark as well. So those two at the top of the market, although coming into veterans company for the first time, and they say always back 10-year-olds in the veterans races, they could potentially be well handicapped in this sort of spear. But 11-4, I think some is 7-2. I'm willing to take both of them on, and the one I'm going to take him on with is another 10-year-old. I mean, his first time starting the veterans chase, and that's Cal Destan of Paul Nichols's. Now, he's off the track for a while. I think he had an injury or something. He had to have wind surgery anyway. And he had his first run back at the start of the few weeks back up at Exeter, where he finished pulled up behind Lowry's bar. Now, that could have been that he just needed the run, this, that, and t'other, but this horse is certainly not on the decline. He won a couple of starts last season. He's definitely not on the decline, and I think going into veterans races potentially could, and second start after the wind up, could potentially bring out some improvement in this horse for this potentially new surroundings he's going to be in a veterans race. Obviously, like I've said on previous videos, Paul Nicholls' horses around January time tend not to run too well either. They tend to be having their jabs this time of year, so they don't tend to be running that well. So if he comes in here any sort of form that he was in at the back end of not last season, or before he got his starting knock anyway, like 20-1 could be massive in a race like this. And I'd be willing to take a swing at him at 20-1 for sure, but like I said, take the prices on the day. So just a quick roundup of what we fancy. Over at Newbury, the 150, I like Tiny Tetley. Obviously, I will take prices and everything will be sorted Saturday morning. In the Denman Chase, I like Eldorado Allen currently at the prices in the race. He's currently 16-1. So Gino will take all the beating in the Game Spirit, I believe. And then I got two swipes at the betfair, or that is All Can Risk, and at 28-1 currently, and Go Dante at 33-1. Obviously, like I said, the prices could change the price I take on Saturday morning, because I'll be waiting until Saturday morning before I take them. And then over at Warwick, the Kingmaker will be Le de Suds to lose, I would have thought. The Mare's Hurdle, I'm going to fancy Royal Margis, who's currently 25-1, and Cal Destan to take out the Veterans Chase. Is my idea of the winner currently. I hope that you enjoyed all listening to this video. If you could please like and subscribe down below, that'd be great. Any comments, please just drop them in. I'm willing to listen to any comments, this and other horses that you fancy for these races. Maybe tell me that I'm completely mad that I'm backing some of these horses at these prices. But this is the game. It's a game of opinions, and this is my opinion. So thank you all for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, please like and subscribe, and I'll be back soon. Thanks for listening, and happy punting.